Kia ora, New Zealand. Friday afternoon, 12:30. That means it's time for Frogs on Friday. My name is Mark Smith. I'm Group Managing Director of Frog Recruitment in New Zealand and People to People in Australia. Yes, it's another busy week, and we're here today to talk about jobs and employment throughout New Zealand. The weather, though. Hey, what about that weather in Auckland? So what is it, 4 or 5 days, 25 degrees? Jacob, the man behind the scenes here on Frogs on Friday, said that he went on a 100-metre walk and he was sweating. It was that humid in Auckland. So but it's still great to have that type of weather. So what are we going to do today? Actually, before we jump into our agenda, I can't go without talking about New Zealand's fabulous cricket performance and the fact that we are in the final of the T20 World Cup. Here's a picture of Daryl Mitchell, thanks to the New Zealand Herald for that particular picture. So of winning or hitting the winning runs there. So that is just magic. Really looking forward to the final. And because I think Australia beat Pakistan last night, which means that the final is set up for an absolute scorcher. It's going to be great. But we don't want this to happen. Yeah, it could happen again. That's all I'm going to say. It could happen again. Let's move on. Let's move on and get into the agenda for today. So what we'll do is we'll go through our regular numbers section. We've got a whole bunch of statistics on job ads from the MBIE across New Zealand. So we'll share those numbers with you, and also some interesting stats on business confidence. Then we'll be crossing down to Wellington, and we'll be chatting to Chitra Gulati about a couple of jobs that we've got in Wellington. We'll have our Frog Friday, where we've got 3 temporary vacancies that we need to fill for next week. So we'll share that with you. And finally, we've got the results of last week's Twitter poll, which is, are people starting to resume travelling now? Or is New Zealand going to jump on a plane now that we're entering the recovery phase? Interesting to see those results as well. So let's get into it, and let's start with our regular numbers section. So this week I've got 4 slides for you in terms of the numbers, and the first one, thanks again to ANZ Research, which is the business activity and owned activity. So the dark blue line is the business confidence line, and there's been a decline in the last week. In the last week, but the outlook has increased once again. So it's that disconnect says to me that once the lockdowns end, that we should see a large improvement in business confidence, and that will translate into activity and jobs. Let's see what the MBIE numbers are, which is the job ad, basically, and we'll start with via industry. So what we're looking at here is the quarterly, annual, and 2-yearly changes in vacancy indices. So that's online job advertisements by industry. So the first column is the quarterly change. So you can see there, just with looking at the graph straight away, you can see that there hasn't been a remarkable change in activity in the last quarter. But year on year, so looking at last year, the numbers are huge. So business services, with the area that Frog operate in, and IT, 87 and 84% respectively. Even sales, another area that Frog operate in, 80 to 82. Education, 54, 51%. Those numbers are remarkable. And then the final column, and this is primarily why I wanted to show these numbers today, the pre-COVID numbers, the 2-yearly change on the job ads. And you can see that all industries are up on pre-COVID numbers. The number of online vacancies in all industries is up on pre-COVID levels. The standouts: manufacturing 48, healthcare 49, IT 35, primary industries 29%, even education 28%. But all industries are up on pre-COVID levels. I know I'm focusing on that because it is a big change. Let's have a look then based on not only on the industry, but let's have a look on job type. A very similar story, not a lot of change quarter on quarter. Annually, though, some of the numbers are really big. Clerical and administration roles up nearly 90%. That's 89%. Sales up 86%. And all job types too are up on a 2-yearly level as well. So the highest being machinery operators and drivers, 47% on pre-COVID levels. Seems I'm obsessing that, but that is a remarkable number. Let's have a look at it on a geographic basis then, and so you can see that the annual change across all geographies is huge. Once again, not a lot of change in the last quarter. Yeah. The 2-yearly change, the numbers are even remarkable in those geographies too. Let's have a look at the ones where we have offices. Auckland, 69% up on a year, 17% on pre-COVID levels. Wellington, up 69%. We'll be crossing to Chitra and we'll have a chat to her about what's happening in Wellington. Up 69% on last year and up 37% on pre-COVID levels. Pretty amazing. So it's a very good news story from these numbers from the MBIE. Okay, right. Let's move on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick chat to Chitra in Wellington office, I should say. She's got a couple of jobs to talk to us about. To get us there, though, we've got an opportunity from Thomas in our Auckland office. If you wanted to run that video for us, Jacob.
Hi, Thomas from Frog Recruitment here. We are currently working with a number of companies across Auckland who are on the lookout for talented customer service representatives in fields such as logistics, healthcare and medical services, and banking and finance. Each role is slightly different but has a strong customer service focus. Looking for someone that could start ASAP with a varied time frame depending on each role. The pay rate varies from $23 to $30 an hour. If you are a customer service professional looking for a new role, please do get in touch. My contact details are below. We look forward to hearing from you.
Kia ora, Chitra. How are you?
Hi, Mark. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm a little bit bald and a little bit fat. That's my main problem. And the baldness is pre-COVID. The fatness is during COVID, I think, is what's happened. And every day I go a little, 1 gram by gram, day by day, I seem to be putting on weight there. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're actually here to talk about a couple of opportunities that you've got in Wellington. So tell us about those.
So I'm going to talk about some senior policy vacancies that we have. We're looking for senior policy professionals on permanent roles. We have got multiple opportunities in government agencies here in Wellington. We are looking for people across regulatory, legislative, economic, and strategic policy spaces. In terms of skills, we're looking for someone who's done, cabinet papers, briefing notes, discussion documents. For legislative policy, we'll be looking for someone who knows the select committee process, taking a bill through the parliament. For economic, we'll expect someone who has done investment, funding, budget bids, that sort of thing.
Right. Wow. Okay. So they very specific policy roles. Yeah. If and I can see that Jacob has popped the links to those particular or your contact details in the comments too. I should say that if you do have questions or comments, that we can see them live. So if you have any questions for Chitra or myself, then pop them in there and we'll get to them pretty quick smart. So what if somebody doesn't have policy experience though? Is that going to be a problem for these particular roles?
Yeah, for senior policy level, we expect someone who has done policy for 3 to 4, even 5 years.
Okay. And what sort of salary can somebody expect in the cross section of policy roles that we've got there?
So in terms of salary, it will depend on experience. The band usually goes to from 95 to 120,000. And if it's an advisor with a few years of experience looking to step up into senior, it will be at the starting range of the band. The average for senior policy is around 110K.
Right. Okay. And I can see from Facebook here that Manda says, do these senior roles allow work flexibility options?
Yes, and especially now after COVID, people are very open to flexible working. So a couple of days working from home is, expected now.
Okay, cool. And so with are all the jobs permanent, or do we have any contract positions?
We have multiple permanent opportunities. We do have a couple of contract as well at senior and principal level. And
Okay,
yeah, there
great.
will be basic strategic policy experience.
Perfect. Fantastic. All right. So sounds like the Wellington market is absolutely flat out. I mean, how would you describe it?
Yeah, it's really busy. We have multiple opportunities. We have to go through hundreds of candidates to find a couple of good ones now.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, if there's somebody out there who's interested in learning more about these opportunities, how can they get in touch with you?
So you can either call me on our landline, which is 049786610, or you can email me at chitra@frogrecruitment.co.nz.
Fantastic. All right. Well, it's great to have you on Frogs on Friday for the first time, Chitra. I'm sure we'll see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoy the fabulous weather that we've been having. Although you told me before we went online that it's not so good down there today. Huh?
Not today, but it's not cold.
Yeah, at least it's not cold.
Yeah.
Rightio. Well, thanks very much for joining us. Let's move on and now have a quick look at our Fill Frog Friday. So we've got 3 opportunities that we need to fill next week. So the first one that we've got here is a service officer. And this is based in Auckland. It's a temporary role. And it's actually working in banking and financial services. So what we're looking for here is somebody with previous mortgage administration experience in banking and finance, a demonstrated understanding of mortgage accounting and capitalized interest. You've got to have good written and verbal communication skills, great accuracy with your data entry, and a competency in using the Microsoft suite of products, amongst others. But basically, if you've got that banking and finance experience, then you need to get in touch with Kirsty or Thomas. Thomas was the chap that we saw on the video before. The second role is a part-time job that we've got. This is $23 to $25 per hour, starting on the 22nd of November. Now, the interesting thing, this one is it's 20 hours per week. That's 5 days a week, roughly 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. each day. So starting on the 22nd of November, initially for 3 months or until they find somebody for the job permanently. So that's another interesting one. And then the last one we've got is one that we actually mentioned last week. This is just demonstrative of how the market is right now. This is a senior network designer, 70 to 85K. Thomas is working on this one as well. But you've got to have a command of AutoCAD, PDF writing software, and the Microsoft Office suite. Possess a year or more experience in fiber network design, project or rollout. And if you're interested in that one, it's starting as soon as we meet you. So jump online, make sure that you apply for those roles. Jacob has put the contact details and the link to the jobs in the comments there. So jump on those for Fill Frog Friday. Okay, finally, let's have a quick look at our Twitter poll. So last week we were asking the question, will New Zealanders resume travel now that the lockdown's over? Let's have a look at the results there. Will you resume travel for business once borders are open? No. 45%. Basically, 44.4%. No, I can meet online. Not good news for Air New Zealand, really, is it? Or yes, it's essential for me, 30%, only for extended trips for 25%. So that surprised me a little about the meeting online. There is definitely a propensity for that now. So this week's poll is, would you be happy for your employer to monitor your activity when working remotely? This is really interesting. This comes from, this is an old colleague of mine at Frog and P2P, he's an Italian guy. His name's Fabio, and he's working remotely back in Milan. And the company he works for is they have a monitoring software on his PC to make sure that he's logging in and see what he's doing and all that sort of thing. Would you do that? Would you be happy for your employer to monitor your activity when working remotely? Let's hear what you've got to say. The link to the poll on Twitter is in the comments. or just visit @FrogRecruitment on Twitter and have your say for this week's poll. That's it, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Frogs on Friday once again. We'll do it all again at 12:30 next week. We'll see you then.